Welcome to the Awakening Podcast, where we have truth tellers and not whistleblowers, where we have facts and not conspiracy theories, the podcast with solutions. You can find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org or on YouTube and BitChute, so be sure to share with your friends. Today, my guest is Matthew Lennon. Please welcome to the show.
Yes, Matthew Lennon. Thanks for having us, and this is Gracie on my right. I'm Matthew Lennon. I'm a healer. We work all over Ireland. I'm sure for the past 20 years I've worked at different clinics from Derry to Kerry and from Mayo to Galway to Dublin, seeing hundreds perhaps of people, and we're fairly well known in Ireland and maybe in other parts of the world as well, where we do Skype calls and healings by appointments. We also do, of course, open days where we do maybe 15, 20,000 followers, and people have got back to us with fantastic results. Talking about results, I suppose here on my right is Gracie and also Warren. Warren is here as well, who is maybe going to give you a little talk about his results, but maybe we can deal with Gracie first. I think for 12 years she was treated by the medics in different parts of the world and sent home to die. But no one better perhaps to tell her story than Gracie herself.
Thanks. I suppose my story all began with shin splints when I was 19 years old. The recommendation was that I have an operation on both legs by the consultant. So the operation was for compartment syndrome, double compartment syndrome on both legs. Because I was an athlete and played at such a high level, all I wanted to do was get back playing sport. So I decided to go with what I thought was an expert opinion at the time, and I had the operation. I went in for the operation perfectly healthy, super fit, and I was never the same after the operation. So unfortunately, I was to be back playing, but I started to deteriorate over a 10-year period. From that operation, I got diagnosed with kidney disease, liver failure, lung problems, blockage on my heart. I also had thyroid problems, which was shutting down my organs. And then after 10 years, I got diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease and 8 infections in Germany. So for all those conditions, and that's just to name just a few, I had treatment for all of those conditions. So I also did the treatment for the chronic Lyme disease, but that treatment had to be stopped at the end. I started in May, and by, I think it was late November or December, I had to be pulled from all treatment because the consultants were afraid that I would have a heart attack and die on the spot. So at this stage, I had 24-hour care, was only 6 stone weight. I was taking 28 tablets plus a day. I was taking IV every second day, which had to be administered by my parents at home. I wasn't being supervised in the hospital. And
I've seen the video of that. You were in terrible pain when that was actually being administered to you.
Yeah, it was horrific because the antibiotic, it was so strong it couldn't be got in Ireland. It was sent over from Germany to me. But normal, I suppose, antibiotics are given through the saline bag and over an hour or 2 hour period. This was being just shot straight into a PICC line in my arm, which went up and around. So it was going in twice as fast. So it would knock me out, and it would take me probably an hour to come around afterwards. And my parents would have to both lie in the bed with me until I was okay again. Well, somewhat okay. And luckily for me, I suppose at that point I had 24-hour care, and my mom was struggling to cope with how bad I was. They spent all their time with me. they had to carry me from the bed to the couch or to the bathroom, etc. I couldn't eat anything. I was freezing with the cold. I couldn't really speak or have a conversation. It was just too much. So she happened to go into our local doctor, who wasn't there that day, and there was a locum in his place, and she just proceeded to tell her how she was struggling with watching me die. So this doctor took out the back of a prescription and she wrote Matthew Lennon's number on the back of it, and she said, if this man can't help her, nobody will. And we rang Matthew that day. I'll never forget it. It was a Friday. We had a conversation on the phone about my illness. You were able to diagnose and tell a lot over the phone call, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And I met you on the Monday.
Yeah, sure.
And I suppose you can describe what I was like when I was carried into your clinic.
Well, that's pretty easy, because I think you were 6 stone weight.
Yeah, at this time I was only given 2 weeks to live.
Yeah.
So I suppose seeing Matthew was do or die for me at this point. So
yeah, I remember your first visit to Dunlavin, where the clinic was full at the time, and some of the patients waiting, and some of them medical patients, said, look, take this young lady next, she's going to die. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I suppose that was the beginning of our treatment. You started to progress, I would say, slightly. Mm-hmm. You were on a roller coaster some of the time as well, and having to drive home maybe after being at the clinic for a few hours was really horrendous, but your determination and stubbornness, I suppose, if you like.
Yeah, but that was nothing with what I was faced with. Those journeys, I would have crawled on my hands and knees to do it.
And you had as much treatment as you could. You were full-time working with a corporate organization, and you came to me as often as you could. Mm-hmm. I think Professor Austin Dara was one of the very, very few who pointed out exactly what was wrong. Yeah. And your thyroid was shutting down your organs. You were in organ failure.
At that time, yeah.
At that time.
And that was
a
couple years prior to meeting you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my thyroid had been tested for years and years. Mm-hmm. And every time I was told it was perfect.
Yes, and it was reverse T3 that was causing the problem. And this was never detected at the time, I think, and until perhaps later.
Yeah. He discovered it when he did his tests and sent them abroad, and he stopped me from all activity in case of sudden death. He expected me to die if I did any exertion at all. Yeah. And
I suppose over the years we treated you when you started to improve, and we could maybe sense changes. I did, at least, because that's my work. I could discovered that perhaps you were improving in some areas. Yeah. It was nice to see you smile. When you came first, you had a cap down over your eyes and you were shivering and trembling with the cold. And I would say life force was very low, and I think doctors were right in saying that you had a short time on the planet.
Yes, yeah.
And we're delighted to see the improvements. That's 5 years ago, is that right?
5 years ago now.
Yeah. And a lovely smile.
Yeah, back again.
And plenty of talk. When she came first, she couldn't speak. but she's made up for it since, I assure you.
And what goes through your head when a doctor's telling you you've only got a few weeks? I mean, it must have been terrible for you to listen to that.
Yeah, I suppose before my 30th birthday, which would have been a few months prior to that, the consultant actually wanted me to stop all treatment at that point. And he had told me before my birthday that, look, you're just on a maintenance program at this stage. We can't tell you how long you're going to survive for. So I think the only thing that got me through all of this, and it might be funny for other people, but it helped me, was my sporting background. I played sport at such a high level that we were competing at a high level. So it was always push, push, push. But that, knowing that you had to break these barriers to get to certain places, always stuck with me. So even when I was very, very sick after Matthew's treatment and I didn't know whether I was dying or what was happening to me, I would take it as a positive. And I would go, right, this is what I have to go through to get to the next point. And I always took it that way. And I did it every day. I took every day as I came, and we would just look at the situation. But I never accepted what was being said, as in, right, this is it. I always thought and always kept looking for something to help. I suppose I didn't want to die. I didn't want to give up. I thought I had lots to live for. And meeting Matthew gave me a future that I never thought I'd have.
So you might tell us what you were doing. I mean, it's energy work that you're doing.
Okay, yes. I suppose all my family, uncles, granduncles, grannies were involved in, I suppose, old simple cures that were used across Ireland and in rural Ireland at the time. Example like, curing ringworms or warts or eye problems, skin problems, and what have you. While I can do all of these, my healing has, I suppose, moved on to a higher level, if you like. I'm treating a lot of patients these days with very, very serious illness. We have a few people who are perhaps in wheelchairs and what have you, now walking with support, serious back injuries, brain injury, etc., etc. My work is more focused in that direction now than in the simple cures, although I do those as well.
But lots of these people are like me. They've had no hope and no options. So it's great to see people getting their life back with the work you're doing.
Yes, and I suppose we have maybe up to 1,000 videos there and with people giving their own testimony about their healing, about their improvements. So maybe, I suppose last week we had a young man here, Warren, and maybe Warren would like to tell his story as well.
And it was like Warren has actually introduced us. So Warren's a long-term friend of mine.
Okay,
and
yes,
fellow Irishman, but
right.
It was a very interesting story. So you might tell people what actually happened yourself.
Yeah. So about 4 years ago almost. This January it'll be 4 years. I had a skiing accident.
Okay.
And I knew when I hit the ground there was some serious damage done. But anyway, for a finish, it was diagnosed after scans that I needed both shoulders to be reconstructed. They were going to start with the right one. They said if everything goes okay, after 6 months, we'll go, move to the left. The fastest would be 12 months to recover, but they did also say there's no guarantees and it might take a number of operations to get any kind of improvement. Anyway, so I was booked for the operation, but luckily in or around the time it was set to be done, actually October 18. It was set to be done. The orthopedic surgeon asked me to go to the dentist just in case there was any dental, stroke, jaw or bone problems, because they said if there was any other bone problems in the body, it wouldn't be a success. But thankfully, they discovered a problem with one of my teeth, which meant the operation had to be postponed. And thankfully, not long after, one of my clients from Dublin, his wife, I was very sad and shocked to hear, had a stroke. But he was very excited to be able to tell me not long after that they'd discovered Matthew, and the wife went to one of his open days. Or yeah, she met you personally. I can't remember if it was an open day or if she booked a one-to-one. But anyway, he was very excited to say that her sight was back. Yeah, she was able to read number plates of cars, etc. on the way home. They were really excited. So anyway, so that spurred me to make contact with Matthew and Grace, with which I did, and I made arrangements to go to see them last September or October.
Yeah, in Kilchima, wasn't
it? I went to
yeah.
Ireland especially. I don't live in Ireland anymore.
Sorry. Yeah.
So so I went, we had an evening session, of which I felt relief immediately. Another session the following morning, where the pain was virtually gone. Unluckily, on the way home, I had a hired car, and anyway, something went wrong. I thought I'd engaged the handbrake. It didn't, so I had to chase the car a little bit, jump in, and I strained the arm. Unfortunately, I even called Grace to say what had happened. Anyway, so the pain had improved, but it was still quite a problem. You know, so much
just
so
after one session, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, the two. Yeah. So the evening and the morning, I could tell there was a big improvement. But anyway, I was still, you know, the only thing I was disappointed with is that we were living so far apart. Matthew mainly in Ireland and I in Poland. Anyway, so we kept in touch. Coronavirus changed the way you normally do things a little bit, which, you know, was something then to save me making a trip to Ireland again. We were able to do it online. And since the online session, there's absolutely zero pain. I can do everything I could previously. I'm a little bit sometimes cautious because I
think in your brain, because just from a back injury, I think psychologically it stays in you.
Yeah, but I couldn't. Yeah. Everything was a problem. If my children tried to hug me, massive pain. Couldn't hold hands with anybody, my wife or children. One of the worst things I had was just to reach on the back seat of the car, even to reach for a document. Impossible. Although the other day, one of my daughters left her school bag and it surely weighs 20 kilos. And before I realized it, I just done automatic, grabbed it over, and I thought, God, amazing. I still can't believe it. It's 100% clear, no pain. I can feel a click. That's absolutely all, zero pain. So I'm starting to get back into the physical activities that I would have missed, over these years. But then a few weeks ago, Matthew had to make a trip to Poland, thankfully for me. So I thought, well, that's great. I get another chance to meet him. So I told him, shoulders are fine. So, if you can, or if you agree to work further, I'd like you to this time pay some attention to my eyes. It's like blurred vision. It's been getting progressively worse for a number of years now. And sometimes it was so bad that 40 or 50 meters, I couldn't even read the number plate of the car. Yeah? And I thought, God, if this continues, I'll have to stop driving soon. So anyway, within a few days, I wasn't sure how Matthew was going to go about it. I thought maybe we'd have a sit down and a one-to-one that way. But anyway, 2 or 3 days after I mentioned it to him, I noticed my vision is clear. So I asked him, I said, strangely, my vision is clear. Have you started maybe doing something. And he said, yeah, sure, we've been working on it, as you've agreed to let us. But anyway, I was in shock. So since that, the blood vision has gone, yeah, which is, I'm delighted with. So for now, I'm happy. There are probably one or two other little things, but I think there are worse cases in the world. So I let him channel his energy.
The fact that you didn't have to have surgery is incredible.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
So you might tell, because I mean, there's obviously a lot of people are curious. The fact that you can do it online is great. They can do, but you might be able to explain how it's actually working. How you've helped Warren?
Well, we met virtually sometime every day for a short while.
Yeah,
and of course, I would do a little bit of work with him. And since he gave me permission, I could do that. I never work with anyone unless I have their permission. I think people often say, well, oh, you should do this and you should do that. And I think that's an unwarranted liberty. Someone, if they want healing, have to ask for it. Yeah. These days, with COVID, it's a little bit different. We're doing it over Skype and video call. And this is basically the same as working together with the patient. We have the spiritual connection as well. We can see the patient, and while I make my own diagnosis, some would say, look, it's about my ear. And when I look and make my diagnosis, I think, well, maybe this is somewhere else. Maybe it's not just your ear, and it's just manifesting in your ear. And I suppose we're having really, really fantastic results in the past few days. I can't go into perhaps too much detail. I'm not sure how about the blindness.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We had a little girl. And her eyes were very much strained and crooked, as it were. And I worked with her, and 2 days later, I think this morning, you had a photograph.
Yeah, to show the difference.
To show the difference
between her eyes, yeah.
Her eyes are now straight.
And focusing.
Yes, and focusing.
And I have seen the pictures to that, and it's incredible, the difference.
Yes, and of course, there is blindness. Now, we're working on that. She had a scan a few days ago. Doctor says she's blind, and I'm hoping that we can help her in that direction. As with your friend, maybe Warren.
The lady from Switzerland? Oh, no, the older lady that we met the other day?
Yes, the lady from your town.
Helen, that
yes.
has the problem with the eyes, yeah?
Yeah. And so there was great improvement there as well. But yes, we treat all kinds of illness, regardless of. A lot of people would come to us with maybe problems in the aftermath of an accident, with neck problems, brain problems.
Share the story of the child with the brain problem, that the doctors said that shouldn't be able to do anything, shouldn't be able to walk, speak, communicate.
Yeah.
And you treat her with the brain injury. She had a stroke as a baby.
Yeah.
And she had severe brain damage from birth.
Okay, I've just lost that one for the moment.
One of the triplets.
Oh yes, yeah.
This is just a fascinating.
Maybe you're better to tell that story than I, because we do hundreds and
No,
hundreds.
it's
and
amazing to be able to remember things.
Sometimes have to be reminded. But I think you're speaking about a triplet?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah, would have been cerebral palsy or something?
Yeah, so she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, but she had, when she was born, she had a bleed to the brain and she had a severe brain injury as well.
Yeah.
The consultant said that she wouldn't be able to walk, talk, communicate, or do anything. The brain injury was so severe.
Yeah.
So when this little baby was born, the mother brought her to see us, and Matthew did some work with her. And over the coronavirus, we actually continued to work with her to video call. And recently, so the little girl is now walking, running, talking non-stop, and she actually started play school in September.
Yeah, and I believe is the boss.
Yeah, and her brain functions are all fine.
Yeah, yeah, very
so
good.
To be able to repair a brain like that was incredible.
And I think, is this on video?
Yeah, you did a testimonial about it. You read out the mums.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I get lost among hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah, that's totally understandable.
On our open days, we have 30,000 people tune in. And in the past, I suppose across Ireland at our open days, we would have attendance from a couple of hundred to 300.
Yeah, 350.
350.
Yeah. And I suppose all these people have something different wrong with them.
Yeah.
And like when you see the person coming in, and like just say somebody has an, are you actually touching that you're feeling the energy, or is it just by looking at them that you can see?
Well, I make a diagnosis even from a person walking towards me, and you know, and it can be totally different to what the person describes. Mm-hmm. You know, for example, oh, I can't raise my arm, or I have a pain, and I look at the situation and say, you have a tummy problem, or whatever. Doctors, I suppose, find it very difficult to understand that someone could have abilities like this. Well, these extrasensory type abilities are, of course, the tools that I need to do my work, to heal.
Well, I mean, we've got two people here that are testing me to what you're saying, and I mean, well, I know as well from other people. Like you know, it might be hard for some people to understand this, but when you hear somebody that's got 2 weeks to live, and now they're sitting here smiling at me, you know, that's testing me to what you're doing.
Well, yes, but that's just the minutes of the story, isn't it? As it were.
It's very long, long-winded, so it's a quick summary.
Well, even when you spoke to my wife the other day, do you remember I introduced you? She felt that, if anything, she has a thyroid problem.
Yeah.
But in the end, after speaking, and the penny actually dropped, and she realized herself in the end, but you led it onto kidney, but it was a kidney problem, yeah?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that the doctors had hinted on some years ago, but seemed to have forgotten about, and went off on a tangent concerning the thyroid, which does give your...
does play an important role there as well, in this case, but yes, and...
But it's amazing to see you work with children. They have no inhibitions, they're just innocent and take it on board without having to be educated, I suppose, or coming in to us with an attitude of, I'll believe you if this is going to work. We've had several children that have had, I suppose, their own little miracles. We've had one little boy with ataxia. Wasn't able to walk or talk before treatment, and now he's running around and he's riding a bike and talking away, and we actually show a video of him climbing the stairs for the first time.
You'll see that video on our site.
So they just accept it, don't they?
Yeah, the other little boy that comes to mind here is he was non-verbal, and he was he's 3 now, isn't he? This little boy was non-verbal, and we started to work with him, and my God, he is so bright, so intelligent, and he's talking away good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do we have a video on him as well?
We have video of him. He actually is the little boy that sings happy birthday to Matthew in a video on our Facebook page.
All right.
So
Okay.
from non-verbal to speaking, it's amazing to see.
And I'll have that on the bottom of the description, the link to your Facebook and everything, so people will be able to scroll through that and see it. So one thing I want to talk about, because with a few of my guests, they're being shadow banned, they're being blocked, and I know that some of your lives, I mean, to have 30,000 people live is incredible, because there's very few can do some of that. We're all being blocked and everything. So, like, I mean, same thing is happening to yourself.
Yes. Before COVID, and maybe a year or two ago, we were getting 200 calls before COVID, yes.
Yeah.
200 calls a day, texts and emails from all over the world. Now, that has dropped to virtually nil over the past few weeks. When I want to do a video, the sound goes.
Same with me. If I do a live, I started doing a lot of live and the sound is gone.
Yes.
And I've had to do it on the computer, but I want to do it when I'm out.
Yeah.
Yes.
The sound has disappeared every time.
Yes.
And, it's a good phone. Like.
Yeah. So our sound goes, and the reception
completely drops.
Yes.
So if we want to do a live video, the minute we start going live, my phone reception will completely drop. It'll give me no network. I can't even when I'm connected to Wi-Fi, they're actually able to cut the Wi-Fi connection also.
And battery, empty battery,
all the time.
Yeah. And that's on both phones.
But people can't get through either, so it'll tell them that they can't get through to my phone.
Even
though it's sitting there. And
we had a lady trying to get through for about a week, and she said something came up on her phone. Was it hacked on and hacked off? Now, maybe someone out there listening will have some idea and give us some sort of an explanation as to why that would come up on someone's phone. Hacked on, hacked off. This was a patient of ours. We knew her for many years. And if someone can maybe give us some sort of an explanation as to why this happened, we'd be delighted to hear. And I'm sure you're confronted with this problem as well.
No, totally, yeah. And
you are.
Yeah, and like other guests as well, all their stuff, they're saying all the natural stuff was being taken off. One of the doctors, he'd 40,000 on a group on Facebook, just removed. The pharmacists, the renegade pharmacists, lots of people he knows, all the stuff is taken down. And like I put up a video recently, there was a guy, Ivor Cummins, who was shown about the corona, all the statistics proving how corrupt it was. And I put it up there, and it was like 0 reaction. So then I said, look, please let me know. And it was like, it's like the 1 or 2 that's always commenting would see it. And one guy said, the only reason I found it is I had to go into your page and find it. It wasn't showing on my page. And it's a shame, but we're actually looking at creating some alternative, because everyone is actually sick of what's going on. Like all the natural stuff is disappearing, and all the pharmaceutical stuff is like, if you go on the television, if the ads are all pharmaceutical, and like, you know, Grace and myself, I would have went through something similar, going through the wrong route of being told this is how you must get better, which was all, I was fed a lie. And that's how I woke up, but I'm seeing that that's not the way to go forward. So like with your stuff that people can go online, and I mean, I'm going to share all the links. What I would say is, if you have an operation, you know, unfortunately on your website, and I know on books and everything, you have to say, please check with your medical doctor. And that's because we legally have to say things like that. But the reality is, I think the one thing that and I even say now with the corona, and I'm not afraid to say that, is the one place that I would stay away from is the hospitals, because I have seen people reporting all around the world where the hospitals were empty, and there's nurses being let off. We've got reports of nurses that are actually exposing that they're told to keep quiet, and there was ones had a hidden camera and showing what they're doing. So we're just saying there's different ways to actually heal yourself, and doctors, different patients die. So look after your own health, find the right people, and the right people are yourself, and I'm sure there's others around the world.
But we're giving people a choice.
Yeah.
They can choose what route suits them best. We're not telling them that they have to come to us. It's up to them to decide what's best for them.
Well, most of the inquiries and patients that we get, they say, look, you're my last hope.
Yeah.
No pressure or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're my last hope.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Every day, that's what we hear. We have patients crying on the phone daily.
Yeah. In pain.
Yeah, have nowhere else to turn.
Yeah.
Well, do you know, something I forgot to mention, but I'd like not to forget to say is how good it was that Matthew came to Poland, because I noticed if you look at on his Facebook page or other, people are getting a bit worried is how quick is he going to come back again? So just in case he's thinking about spending more time here than there, but I'm
but it's online now, and the 30,000 was our first live healing session through video calls.
Yeah.
That was our first one to do, which we got a huge response, and we got huge results after it.
Exactly. People were texting in saying that they had great improvements. I think you were one of those yourself, one. Yeah.
And then unfortunately, when we did the second one, it all got cut.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll do a third one.
Yeah, there's
shortly.
ways and means of it. But it must be a wonderful feeling to see somebody coming in that has lost hope and you return the life force to them.
Yes, of course it is. And we did this quite a lot on open days in different parts of the country where we had maybe a few hundred people. We worked with them in the open with great results from, problems with back or sight. There's hearing as well, yes. There's a young lady came to us, I think she was about 19, totally blind.
Totally blind, yeah, she was blind, yeah.
And in a short while, her sight was back. A lot of people will find that difficult to believe, but we have a video of her at that particular time.
Sharing her story there.
Sharing her story there and then.
So seeing is believing.
Yeah, some incredible stories there and testimonies from others.
And they're in a natural, raw state.
Yeah.
There's nothing staged or
no.
Literally we take out a phone and somebody starts to talk.
Yeah, we don't stage anything. We just take out the phone and will you please tell the audience how you feel, and usually there's floods of tears and emotions and what have you. You can check all on MatthewLennonHealer.com.
Yeah, I've seen some of the testimonials.
Yes.
And what do you think?
Like, I think I'm very open to everything, and I think that a lot of the time people they close their mind straight away. But what I would say is look at results. Look at people, because I was told when I had I had a trapped nerve, and I was told, okay, if you get the epidural, you'll get cured. That didn't cure me. I was told you get the operation, that will cure you. That didn't cure me. And when you talk to people afterwards, none of them were cured. Mm-hmm. And because you're in pain, you're listening to this. So I would say, and like there's herbs, there's a lot of different things that can cure us. I would say look at the alternatives before you go down the operation route.
Well, even with my shoulder procedure, luckily I had access to a few other guys, friends and associates of friends, that had multiple shoulder operations. For a finish, they actually fused everything together, so you couldn't even move your shoulder. It was more, totally restricted our movement. Massive pain to the point where they're officially disabled now. They have disabled badge. They can to that point.
Yeah.
So I'd say the best thing that ever happened to you is when you went to the dentist and he deferred it that you actually got to
and
see
normally I
Matthew.
never wish for these kind of things, but I was kind of secretly at the back of my mind thinking, oh, it'd be great because I'm not keen tomorrow to go for this because from what everybody says, it's unlikely to improve. If not, it'll, if anything, a lot worse. So
yeah, but can I just say something about people not having the belief, saying, look, if you can cure my diverticulitis or my headache or whatever, I'll believe in what you do. And I say to you, you're just wasting your time. If you don't have the belief and the understanding to get better, then you are preventing yourself from getting better. I offer you whatever it takes to heal you. It's up to you to receive it or reject it.
Beautiful. Yeah, because the reality is we're the chakras, we're all an energy field.
Yes.
And if we have a belief system and if we can help ourselves, you can actually open the key to make it happen better and faster. And
yes.
I totally agree.
Of course.
Yeah. But people have an expectation that they come into you with 10 different serious problems.
And
and
they're expecting the magic wand to come out and just go, abracadabra, you're perfect.
Yeah.
And if they're not totally healed in 10 or 15 minutes, oh, he's a fake, don't worry about him, he's just a fraud. And what about the doctors then? I say, well, have you been to the doctors? Oh, they're no use either. This is why I'm here. And look, I'm not cured now, so you're a fraud as well. So there's going to be an odd one like that.
Well, the way I see it is, you have nothing to lose to try. You should always believe in yourself and always be open.
Have an open mind.
We've got 2 people here and that should be enough. But if it's not, just go online. So how can people reach you?
On MatthewLennonHealer.com. We have our own Facebook page, which is Matthew Lennon Healer. And we're also on YouTube and Instagram under the same.
Perfect. And what I'll do is I'll put the links for all of that so people can find you, and also we'll be on the YouTube and
we'll give you the phone number.
Yes,
when it works.
Yes, but having found us and what have you, it would be great if those people would be able to make a phone call and set up an appointment without interference or without being subjected to suppression and monitoring. So any of you guys out there into IT, maybe you should get in touch with us if you can.
They can get through to me, and that'll work. We'll find ways of getting the information.
But it's sad to see it being suppressed. Like without the doctor telling my mum about him, like I'd be dead. And that
you're actually lucky that they did that, because a lot of the time they won't. So
but it's the reality of it. I would be dead.
The other thing as well, it's things that have just gone through my mind over the last few weeks because I'm a new case. The things that Matthew do are things that my father would have spoken about when I was a child. I had a few complicated disorders, warts being one of the more simple ones, but we were totally open. I believed everything he said. And I think the older generations, this was more accepted. I think it's the new generation or two coming through more skeptical or maybe more easily brainwashed.
Well, I suppose all we see was the experts, and they had degrees and they had qualifications, and that's where everybody's focus was. And you see the ad on TV for everything, and that's what you're brought up with. I wasn't, thankfully, with my mum and granny, but that's the way it is. And I was left with 2 weeks to live, and I told my friends what I was doing, and they were like, what are you doing? I was like, well, they can't do nothing for me. They've sent me home to die, and it's either this or die. Yeah.
But the other thing, and
the attitude changed quite quickly then.
This is what I also wanted to say on a similar note. Because of how people are now, I'm kind of wondering how to tell people. Will they think I've gone bananas all of a sudden, or what? Do you know what I mean? But
believe me, if you're sick enough, you will have a look.
Sure, and this is how it seems. But it's a shame because people have to
you've got
be in that position.
4 or 5 corporations owning 90% of the media. and they're just blasting us on the radio, like the RT in Ireland, the BBC in the UK, CNN, they're all corrupt, and they're just telling people. And unfortunately, when you hear something enough times, you start believing it. And if your circle of friends are more on the negative side or just following that, you're just listening to that all the time. So you just kind of, I would say, question everything, step back, look what, just look at results. Results speak for themselves. And you have got fantastic results.
Yes.
And they can't all be staged, over 1,000 of them. We'll be very busy trying to put that in order.
Well, as a matter of fact, we don't stage any of them, or any of the photographs we take exactly. It's just on the spot, off the cuff. Tell us in your own words, and we're often criticized for the methods we use, but that's the way we do it, and that's how we're going to continue doing it. We don't stage anything.
In its natural form.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Well,
listen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I'm delighted I got to meet you. Thank you, Grace, for telling us your story. And thank you, Warren, for telling us your story.
Thank you for having us.
So that's all for the Awakening Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. We're going to be on YouTube and BitChute. Be sure to share with your friends, especially this episode. And until next week, take care.